everyone, it's Laura, and I hope you're all doing well. So today I have a fun surprise for y'all. I've had several of y'all asking me about the ketogenic diet and my thoughts on it, and my response is always, I feel like everyone should do what works for you. If it's something you're interested in and you want to give it a try, then by all means try it out. So today I have one of my bestest friends ever. She is actually like a world-renowned ketogenic dietitian. She's done a lot of research on the ketogenic diet. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of quiz her on the ketogenic diet, her thoughts, her recommendations.
I mean, I think you have to be in the right mindset to do it because it means that when you eat out that your options are more limited. But the benefits of the ketogenic diet are generally that you feel more awake and alert. You have less cravings, you have a decreased appetite, which that sounds bad, but generally when people tend to overeat, the foods they overeat on are because they're bored, they're hungry, but they're not really hungry. They're just sort of responding to cues the body is giving them to eat because their blood sugar's dropping. And so what happens on a ketogenic diet is that your blood sugar stabilizes to a low level and your ketones rise, and because we have ample fat stores in our body, we can go for longer periods without having that like fluctuation in our blood glucose because we're not using it as our fuel source. And so this allows you to sort of flex how you eat throughout the day. The benefits of a ketogenic diet outside of sort of this improved energy and alertness are generally people report improved GI health. So maybe you're someone who isn't very regular and you get more regular, less bloating. We don't really know why yet. This probably has to do with some changes in the microbiota and inflammatory process in the GI tract. The big benefit that people report is just this alertness. So also I think it makes you take control over your food intake because you can't just go out and eat whatever is available. You have to focus on eating real food, and the more junk they put in the food, like fillers, processing, the more carbs that get in it, and carbs just make you so that you can't get in ketosis. And so if you can't get in ketosis, then you're just eating a lot of fat and probably making your cholesterol profile and risk for cardiovascular disease higher. So it really focuses you on, I gotta make healthy choices here, I gotta eat real food, as opposed to a bunch of junk. The one thing about ketogenic diets that people have this misrepresentation that they're so low carb that you can't eat vegetables and nuts and seeds, and I argue that like the better versions of the diet, actually you just focus on getting your carbs from veggies, nuts, and seeds. You don't necessarily have to carb count. Be more restrictive with your protein, and then you can eat all the fat and fiber that you want in a day. I have days sometimes where I eat 60 grams of fiber just because I eat a lot of like chia seeds and whatnot. I maintain ketosis. I don't eat a ton of protein. I don't eat meat every day, but you don't have to, and that's the misconception because of the Atkins diet that people have about keto, is that it can't be vegetarian, that it can't be high in vegetables. And I think that the one thing we know about nutrition, everything else is up in the air, but the one thing we know is that veggies, nuts, and seeds are good.
So someone who's a vegetarian or who doesn't consume a lot of animal products, if they're wanting to follow the ketogenic diet, then what would be the basis of what they eat?
I think it's similar. So if you want to avoid animal products completely, a lot of times people will have things like bulletproof coffee for breakfast. You could have a veggie-based smoothie for breakfast. For lunch and dinner could be the same, interchangeable. So some sort of green leafy vegetable. If you want to use things like lentils, you can use lentils. So these are just whole green lentils. 1/4 cup of them has 16 net carbs, so that's quite a lot. So you would blend this with other things, like other foods. Nuts and seeds are going to have a fair amount of protein with also having, good fats and not a lot of carbohydrates. So you might blend this with some nuts to get into your, like make a sort of a stew with your lentils. Have it over a bed of like green leafy things or cauliflower rice, something like that. And then you always have to remember, so like pick your protein usually, and then pair it with a carb that is going to give you some variety and color, and then add your fat. And so your fat should be, kind of general rule of thumb, 2 to 3 tablespoons worth per meal. So maybe you want to use olive oil, good quality olive oil. Maybe you want to use something like avocado oil, or maybe you use coconut oil. And these might be the bases of your sort of like sauce, and then you flavor them based on whatever you like. So maybe we make a green lentil dish with a tomato-based sauce that we mix with avocado oil and olive oil. And then you've got all sorts of color variety, you've got some protein, Your carb level is going to be higher in a vegetarian version of the diet, but that doesn't mean you can't get in ketosis.
So what's the average carb range that people can
Under
have?
50 usually, net carbs. So depends on who you talk to, but generally most of the time, if you're choosing your carbs from fiber-rich sources, you're going to be fine as long as you're around 50 carbs or less. So if, let's say, we're having a quarter cup of our lentils here, that's giving us 16 net carbs, that's basically, we can have maybe even a half cup of this, and that might be our big protein source for the day, but then also taking up a big chunk of our carbs, so the rest of our meals might have to be much lower in carbohydrate.
If y'all have any questions, please feel free to leave them below. Also, I'll leave a link below to her social media so you can check her out on Instagram. And I hope y'all are doing well. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, please feel free to leave them down below. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye.